It's Jennifer McCollum from Parent Teens. I have with me today the beautiful Cara Pollard. Cara is a parent coach. She is also the founder of Away We Play in Chicago, and I can't wait for her to tell us more about that. Cara does coaching, workshops, group coaching. She also goes into corporations and speaks to parents and parents of teens, which I think is fabulous, and how valuable it would be to have that group coaching. So welcome, Cara.
Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me. I'm honored to be here with you today and think what you do is just fantastic. What a needed offering.
Wow. Well, it is really just a lot of fun because I get to highlight the amazing experts, coaching experts from across the world, and you're one of them. So tell us how you got into becoming a parent coach and a little bit about what you focus on too and how you help parents.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, you mentioned my business, Away We Play. It's a movement, music, and messy art program for very young kids, for toddlers. And so while I love teaching toddlers, and I feel like sometimes it keeps me young, what I noticed is that I was talking a lot with the parents. And so I decided to hire a lot of teachers who are better musicians and better adept at teaching. And I went on to get some coaching at the Parent Coaching Institute, and I took my training there so that I could really help parents. I saw them struggling in my program, and I felt like it was really, sad, because all of us at one level or another just want to be connected to each other. And there was a big disconnect I saw. So I wanted to address that. And at the same time, I had 3 teenagers, and I realized that I was struggling in my own relationships with them. So I really used what I learned at the Coaching Institute in my own life. And then now I'm able to share it and hopefully change the lives of others.
That is wonderful. So you are here today to talk to us about the rise in anxiety in our teenagers. And I have to tell you, this is probably one of the most searched topics on our website is anxiety. It's a big concern for all of us. So what do you think, Cara, is like the contributing factors to the amount of anxiety that we see in our teens right now?
Well, I have a couple factors, but yes, I want to say I'm not surprised. It's sad that it's the most searched thing that comes upon your site. But what is being reported is that it's a straight up and down. It's not even a curved, like we're not increasing steadily. It's just straight up and down. Everybody is walking around anxious and fearful and stressed out. And it's no way to really live our lives. That's not how we were intended to be. So I think the 3 things that I have seen in my work that contribute to it is that we're parenting from a place of fear as opposed to a place of strength. We're constantly fear-based. We're catastrophizing what could happen if we don't all go to USC, where apparently we're failures. We also are parenting from this competitive, busy, achievement-based culture. And then I think screen technology, we can't deny that it's enhanced our life, but I think it's also really added to some of the angst that we're seeing. I don't know that I can directly correlate that, but I have a feeling in 20 years, we'll be able to see the brain science just like we did for lungs years after we saw the effects of smoking and what it did to us. So I think that that's what we're going to see in 20 years.
Yeah, and I think we can see it in our own homes, just the effects
Yeah.
on it, even though the studies aren't out and 20-year-old, statistics to tell us how that has affected us and our teens too. What I hear is we need to move to a sunny island with no internet access. Is that correct?
Exactly. And so I think that the fear aspect that's contributing to the anxiety is just so prevalent, and part of it is attached to screens, certainly, but it's so obvious when we're worried about what everybody else is doing, or we join, a certain soccer, or, I have people in my young class who have a 2.5-year-old ask me when's the first time I should be, am I behind the 8 ball because I haven't done flashcards yet? And I think, oh my gosh, like we have gotten so far away from the fact that children at that young age learn from making music and movement and messy art and going outside and just being connected to their parents and to others and even their own creativity. So no, flashcards would not enhance that. And then, for teenagers, we grew up where we were told, come on in when the street lights come on. And now we're following our children around on, GPS location, where is my child? And we constantly need to know everything they're doing at every moment. And the message to them is, we don't trust you. We don't trust the world. And we all should be, fear stricken minute by minute of every second, because either someone's going to get you, or if we don't know what you're doing, you must be doing something bad. And that's just actually not the case. And so we're speaking to their weakness and not their strength. And I think that that's evident in, I kind of mentioned the varsity blues scandal, but again, if I don't get you into USC, and so yes, people did illegal things in that aspect, but even us as parents, if I don't get you test prep, and if I don't monitor your every grade and check your grades daily, that message that I'm giving to you is, you're not good enough. You don't have your own back. You have no autonomy. I don't trust that you can manage your own life. So I'm going to be your concierge. And then what happens is, what I'm seeing from the corporate world is that people show up to the workplace without any of the soft skills. So they don't know how to problem solve. They don't know how to communicate. If they're given a problem that doesn't have an end result, they have no idea how to take the steps to get there, because we as parents gave them every step along the way and told them, you don't know how to do this. You don't have time for creativity. You don't have time to look at a tree and start to daydream, and know that daydreaming is where we actually get our problem solving skills, because we completely schedule every moment of every day. Again, it wasn't something that we did on purpose. We're all type A parents. We have 2 working households, and we are the checklist schedule era, right? So if we can't put it in the spreadsheet, if we can't check a box, and if we can't put it into our calendar, that means that we're somehow a failure as a parent. And who's, this is impacting, I think, in a profound negative way, is our children, because it's making them angst-ridden.
Mm-hmm. Guilty as charged.
All of us.
And then, you do that. You kind of follow your kids around. You know everything they're doing. Everything you said is correct. But looking at it from a new perspective of that, they're feeling like they can't be trusted. I think that, if nothing else, I'm going to take that away, because I want my kids to feel like they can be trusted and they can make decisions. They're going to make bad decisions and good decisions, but they're going to learn from that. I think that's a whole shift that we all need to be able to move towards. And wouldn't it feel great if we could, they just go outside, come in when the street lights go on, and,
right,
to feel okay that your kids are doing that. Now, I know you have a process to help us through. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
Spiral.
So, yeah, I noticed I have just an affinity for spirals. It happens to be in both my business logos. And I think it's just indicative of that we're all here spiraling through life. And even things before we were born, through epigenetics, we bring forth. We have a life that kind of looks linear, but it's not, of course, but we have main events that happen, right? So we have the birth of a child, and the child goes through school, and then they might get married. They might get divorced. They might, fail at a job. They might get fired. There might be things along the way. They might come home after curfew. We all make mistakes in our lives, right? And so my process is such that instead of spiraling, and I hear psychologists use this term a lot, instead of spiraling into the negative, which once we start there and we start catastrophizing, it just keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps going downward and downward. So just for an example, I'll pause here and tell me one mom was going to be late to pick her child up for school. And she told me that she thought it was going to be the worst thing that ever happened. And I said, why? Well, my child will end up being insecure for the rest of her life. And I said, now wait, just because you were late to pick your daughter up from school, she's going to be insecure. Well, why? Well, she's going to think I don't love her. Well, I said, how could we reframe that into, you got to go to the office with that nice lady. I always wanted to spend time with her. She let you color, and it was, of course you might say, I'm sorry that I was late, but wasn't it nice that you got to go in with the nice lady? How we're exacerbating fear is that we go in panicked. I'm so sorry we were late. And then the message to the child is, yes, I should feel absolutely terrible, instead of the child having the efficacy to know, I trust my mom and that my mom will be here and that I'm okay on my own. So I feel that once we start to spiral into that negative, we can go all the way from one little aspect of, I'm going to be 5 minutes late to pick up my daughter, to thinking that now she's never going to get a job in her life because she's going to have no security. So what I wanted to do is come up with a way to at least kind of maintain a way to go forward. So I know that we can't necessarily go from spiraling into the negative to spiraling up into the positive, which of course we want to do. But if we could reframe it to just move forward a little bit, it would help us. So I first ask parents whether it's something that they're going to do actionable, or even within their own mind, to just stop. So kind of like a cognitive behavioral therapy, just imagine me or yourself or your child with the stop sign in their hand, and just stop yourself. You do not need to do anything unless, of course, it's a physical safety issue, but you don't have to address every issue right at that moment. And once you stop, you actually can press the pause button on your body to notice how your body's reacting. So is your throat constricting? And if your throat's constricting, perhaps that's a signal that you need to use your voice. Do you have that dizzy feeling in your head? And if you do, maybe your brain is being, your lungs are constricting and your brain is getting the fight or flight response. So in that case, you would need to do some deep breathing. So really address that physical aspect of what's occurring. Use those signals as a good sign that your body's doing that, as opposed to a bad sign, because then you can kind of figure out the next step, which is, what are my intentions? Are my intentions to run into the office and give my daughter the signal that if I'm late, all is lost? Or are my intentions to show my daughter that she can handle things on her own? And even in a bigger, more macro sense, my intention is for my daughter to be a secure person. Well, if I rush into the office in my own insecure way, would that be being aligned with my intention? So then the next R stands for realign. If your actions are not matching your intentions, you need to realign or reframe your thinking, or realign those actions to match what those intentions are. And particularly with teenagers, we are so reactionary that we don't even think about what our intentions are, and we're not deliberate, we're not intentional, we're not thinking often with them. So I think those are two really important steps with teenagers. And then let's say a teenager got caught, either coming in late for curfew or at school with a vape pen or something, like that. Well, the A stands for as is. It's what's happened. It's already happened. It's the as is. So as opposed to trying to make it not happen, I think we spend and exert an awful lot of energy saying, how could you have done this? How could this be? And you have these macerations over the asking how, when it's already been done. So now what? Just accept that it's happened. And then listen to all the signs around you. Listen to actually the body language of your child. Listen to what this might be teaching you in a way to move forward to where you want to be. So that's what my spiral forward process stands for. The upward spiral is really deep. And when I'm coaching someone, we often use it. It takes a little bit more time to describe. But once people use it, I feel like they say to me, it's changed the trajectory of their life with and their relationship with their teenager or their child. And often it's the teenage years that are, strife with, just all kinds of angst and anxiety and disappointment and all kinds of things.
For sure. And I love that you can put a different spin on the spiral. That it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be negative. We can make this spiral positive. I love that. So when you were working in your group coaching too, do you walk through the spiral? Do you?
Yes.
And
So I want it to speak to people. I think it's very important, but like I said, when we get to the upwards, it's better to be one-on-one or even in a group that really knows me. I've done a group, the same people for 3 years now. It's just been amazing because of the support they give each other, even outside of the room. And because it's been so long, they are so invested and so vulnerable. And from that vulnerability comes great growth. But the spiral is one thing I've used. And they've all tried it at home, and they've even tried it not only with their child or their teen, but they've taught it to the teenager. And then they've also used it in their marriage. So I feel like it can be a universal approach. But I also do some other chill techniques. So, one that I've used is the peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And you just say it out loud over and over again. Or the reason deep breathing works is because our lungs have these receptors that are signaling when our brain is in fight or flight that we might be suffocating. And so when we start to deep breathe, it actually tones those down and they don't ignite the brain or the anxiety response. So some people are like, well, I can't breathe through it. But if you do, not only is it helping your mind, it's actually helping you physiologically. So therefore, the receptors aren't being ignited. So that's another one that we've done. And then they make up their own. Like I've asked them, what speaks to you? So one woman breathes out the word God, and she breathes in and then says help. So she's God, help. And she said she does it out loud in front of her kids, and her kids start doing it with her. And it's, during a time when she's having a hard time. So one of the fathers in my group said that he was going to lose it on the golf course, and he just simply jumped into God help on the golf course because he needed something quick and, didn't want to lose it. So I think we can come up with what speaks to us and what helps in that moment. But certainly when they needed to move forward from a spiraling down, they've, used the forward spiral, and they've all reported back that it's helped them. So thanks for asking that.
That is great. Okay, can you, what were you doing with your fingers? Peace begins with me. Is that what it was?
So you take your thumb and you first press it to your index finger, and then each word you go down. So you start, peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And after you do it for 30 seconds, you completely feel differently. I mean, I've done this in my workshops, my team building workshops. Many of them really like it, and you can do meditation in many different ways. These are just some quick chill techniques, but even meditation can be, walking. You can do meditative walking. You can, sit with your teen and do what they do. Look at the world through their eyes. And because you're shutting your brain off, it's actually, in a way, a form of meditation. So
that's wonderful. All these different techniques, and you got to figure out which one speaks to you. But let's just leave our audience with this one. Peace begins.
Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me.
Everybody do it.
Peace begins with me.
If that doesn't help, God help. Remember that one.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I like that one too.
Finding something. I love that you can give us a quick win there, a quick tool that we can use as we're moving forward in our day and we're helping our kids with anxiety and ourselves too. So thank you so much, Cara, for speaking to us about.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight something you said, and I want it to be a big takeaway here. If we can just assume that our teens' actions are not meant to manipulate and be negative to us, if we can assume the best, even when we're in a state of fear, I think it can really change what's going to occur. So if you can be intentional in that spiral and assume that what your teen is doing is the best. I just had a story about an inner city child in Chicago, and he stole a car, and it was a very bad thing. But when nobody asked him why he stole the car, when someone asked him why he stole the car, it was to go to a friend's funeral that he didn't think he was going to be able to make it to. And so when the person that he stole the car from understood this, they did a conflict resolution, and this teen went to their house every week for 6 months and did restitution. And that teen was changed because, he cleaned the house, but he saw what a connected family looked like. And so it changed the trajectory of his life. So if we can assume that someone's not stealing a car, and I know that's a very dramatic example, but here, even in stealing a car, he was doing it with good intentions.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Cara, for telling us that. I hope you come back again. Tell us more. You have so much goodness to share. Right now,
Oh, thank you.
find Cara, you can go to parentteens.club and find her on her website, or they can find you on your website, which is?
It's Cara Pollard, parentcoach.com.
Wonderful. And if you're a corporation, you're looking for a speaker to come in, a group coach, looking for one-on-one, you just reach out to Cara. Thank you so much for being here today, and please come back again.
Thank you so much for all you do to make the world a better place. I really appreciate it. Teens are awesome. They're so awesome.
Teens are awesome, and we're doing it together, so thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.